Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the What's This About podcast. I'm your host, Andy White, and our guest today is Georgina Tolentino. She's an actress, producer, writer, trains in jiu-jitsu, and also does a lot of charity work. So let's get to it. And here's Georgina Tolentino. Welcome to What's This About podcast, first one.
Oh, cool.
First guest.
Yeah, ooh.
Yes. Everybody welcome Georgina Tolentino.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the welcome.
I said your name right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. All right. Good. So did a little background work on
No, you did a background check.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes. I found out all your dirt.
What's my dirt?
You know what's funny? When you Google someone and then just like ton of photos come up, I'm like, whoa.
Oh, I know. You know, it's really weird when hopefully by the time you all listen, it'll change, but it really picks up. It's like an SEO thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think right now it's like some swimsuit one. And I'm like, no, why is that there?
That's good though. I mean,
no.
Well, if you're an actress, you want people to know who you are, right?
Not that way.
Yeah. Well, you don't want them to think you're a Maxim model or something like that.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah. But, because you want to be taken seriously.
Like a hand model. That's
hand model.
Yeah, hand model. Like Zoolander,
I met somebody recently that was a hand model. See, I have like the worst memory.
How was their handshake?
I don't remember.
You didn't shake their hand. You just stared.
No. Yeah, I was like, wow, those are some beautiful hands.
Wow. Starstruck. I know.
Yeah.
What happens?
Handstruck,
exactly.
I was like, wow, I wish I had those. No. So basically, let's tell everybody a little bit about why you're here, like, and who you are. Like,
Andy said, do you want pizza? I said, sure. And here we are.
Bribery.
Exactly.
Always.
I'm so confused.
Who doesn't want pizza,
Are these handcuffs necessary?
At least they're furry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no scars. So you're in... So I want to ask this right off the bat. Actor, actress, like the whole PC thing now, do women want to be referred to as actors or actress? Does it matter?
I don't really think it matters. I think I say actor, but I guess the feminine version is actress. I don't care.
Well, because they do. I have a little quiz later, and it has to do with that because, when the Oscars comes out, there's like best actor, best actress. And then like I started hearing people are like, women want to be called an actor. And I'm like, interesting. So I have some opinions on that later, like questions I want to ask you, but so like where'd you grow up? Like, where are you from originally?
I grew up in San Francisco, and I grew up in the city. So
nice.
I grew up in Excelsior, which is kind of by Mission, and then we moved to the Portola district.
Yeah.
And, the theater there on the street, they call it the Little Hood That Could, the district. So it's definitely a different neighborhood than I think maybe some people that I know might be used to growing up in, but It was really cool because I felt as if it gave me a bit more perspective of to the real world. It wasn't very sheltered, and I don't know, it was cool.
Yeah. No, that's good. What and do you have a big family? Like, did you grow up with brothers and sisters, or
I just have one brother. And
older or younger?
Younger.
Oh.
And
big sis.
Yeah, exactly.
I got that dynamic.
Yeah, but I feel like he's my older brother. He's very mature.
Yeah. Are you saying you're immature?
Yes. I felt like he had to mature for my behalf.
Yeah.
No, but he was younger than me and pretty close, I would say, to my family. And if my cousin's side, I was kind of the younger one, so I didn't really grow up with anyone around my age.
Yeah.
So, and all my other family were kind of around the world, in Europe or in Canada or overseas in Asia, so... Yeah, so it's just kind of us.
Does that give you free place to stay when you travel?
No.
Bummer.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah. That's the deal, because like when I traveled to Europe, we stayed with my friend's family for a week, so we didn't have to pay to stay there. And then we stayed in Barcelona with a friend of ours for like 5 days, so we didn't pay to stay. The only place we paid to stay was Iceland.
Oh, Iceland.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Blue Lagoon, but haven't been there yet.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah, I think I could swing it. I just haven't asked, really.
Yeah. You'll get there. So then how did you get into acting? Like, when did that come about? How old were you when you started to realize this is my dream, this is my calling?
Well, when I was a little kid, both my parents worked at nighttime, and that was really tough for me and my brother.
Yeah.
And my dad would always read us bedtime stories before we left. And he and I would do the lines. So it was as if we were acting.
Right.
Reenacting the scene, and he would do all the voices of Three Little Pigs, and, I would be the wolf, and all these things. And for me, it was such a fun time. Right. And it kind of made me go to sleep feeling reassured and safe, and looking forward to actually doing that. And over time, he started reading us comic books, and we watched movies together, and we didn't have much, but that was our bonding experience.
Right.
And it was something that I still love to this day, watching movies and going to plays and experiencing art.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, since we weren't able to do a lot of things, we were able to see the world through the TV, and experience different perspectives, which made me really eager, so that when I was older, I'd be able to see the world.
Right.
It inspired me.
Yeah. I kind of felt that way with traveling, like, because I played in a band, and I always thought, well, a band is going to take me around the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been all over the States, but then the band never got to that point of like traveling around the world. And then when the band ended, that's when I started traveling all around the world, and so, but that was part of my thing too, with my dream with music, where I was like, I'm gonna see the world this way, Yeah.
And even with music and with acting, you realize we're not that different. And I think that's the approach that I have with any character, is how do I make this universal thread that connects to everybody?
Yeah.
Because, for me, I started acting in high school, and I did plays, but we didn't really have a theater program, because I went to an inner city school.
Wow.
And they cut all the arts first.
Yeah.
Which
that's terrible when that happens.
Absolutely terrible. And that's really why, and sports.
Yeah.
So we would have to go elsewhere, or teachers would stay after school unpaid and create clubs.
Those are some dedicated teachers.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, I have to say, those teachers are the gems and heroes of the public school system.
Yeah.
And for me, I noticed how valuable it was to have the arts and sports to give purpose and identity to these kids, and including myself, not to go out and do other things that could be dangerous.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was self-taught, and I realized there was much more work that I needed to do to explore. So I remember I had a play, and I had a few lines, and I was so nervous.
Yeah, of course.
And I had glasses and braces. I was so awkward, and these guys were making fun of me. And one of the guys...
that's the typical thing of, like, a pretty girl to say, like, oh, I was such a dork in school, and, like,
Yeah. They're all dead now. I handled it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But, no... Yeah, they were making fun of me, and I remember one of the guys said, told me I was a bad actor.
Yeah.
And I was kind of taken aback, and it really hurt me, but I remember going, I think I could do better. I'm not agreeing with him, but I know I can always do better.
Yeah.
And I did the next year, and then I started taking classes, and after school somewhere else, at the conservatory theater they had there, and over the summer.
Yeah.
And I realized how much work I had to do and how hard it was for me. I grew up doing art, so it was a tangible thing that my parents could see.
Right.
Look, she can draw. Let's nurture that. But with acting, it's hard to...
Did they, though?
Gauge.
Did they nurture, like, did they support,
the arts?
like,
yes.
everything you did? That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they bought me the best paint supplies, everything, and they thought I was going to be a designer and artist.
Yeah.
And that was something that they really supported, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I ended up being a bit more in love with myself as a medium in terms of acting and performing. Not singing. I'm not really a singer or a dancer, but for me, it was storytelling. And it always reminded me of how good of a storyteller my dad was. And so for me, kind of diving into performing, it allowed me to kind of realize it's not really about playing someone else. You're actually just exploring a different part of yourself.
Right.
Because you use those, everyone acts differently, imagination or method or whatever. I kind of do a little bit of both. Because I think it's kind of strange if I get handed a serial killer script, I'm like, nailed it, got it.
Yeah.
Got it in my wheelhouse last summer. So.
Whoa. What did you do last summer?
Those guys from high school, I caught them good.
There you go. There you go. Buried them.
Yeah,
Buried them.
Exactly.
Good.
So I basically felt as if it was really interesting for me to get deeper into it and take classes. And then in college, I went to school in Santa Barbara, and I went back to studying art.
Nice.
Because I was kind of intimidated by taking drama, but I also didn't want to take drama there. I said when I graduate, if I still feel an inkling to do it, then I'll do it. But I ended up taking drama classes anyway, and doing art history for college and design. And then I ended up getting signed to a commercial agent and print agent, and I started driving down to LA and auditioning, and I got kind of bored with print.
Yeah.
And the commercial auditions were more interesting to me.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to do theatrical, so more of TV and film.
Were you driving from the Bay or from college?
Santa Barbara to Los Angeles.
Yeah. That's not a bad drive.
And then I decided, I think I'm going to graduate early, and I'm going to pursue this.
Yeah.
And I never regretted it. I never questioned.
Right.
Definitely had a little bit of doubt, a little bit of worry, but I also felt like this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is just who I am. And so I graduated college when I was 20. I loaded up on my units. I took summer classes, and I took college classes in high school.
Oh, wow.
So they added up, and I was able to graduate.
Didn't write down like Brainiac here too. I didn't know that was one of your things.
Well, I also got to Berkeley.
Wow.
And I chose Santa Barbara, and for my parents, that was a really horrible thing for me to do to them because they're Asian and they wanted like the Berkeley parents t-shirts. And in high school, I was class president twice, and I was in all these activities, and I won mock trial competitions. And
so you already had ambition, and you had like that thing where you could get in front of people. Yeah. So that was already there. So that's good. Yeah. And
I think the reason why, finding my voice and having to overcome my fear of shyness and public speaking was because my school at the time had so many problems, and I actually wanted to transfer out and go back to private school because I went to a private school from kindergarten to 8th grade, and all my friends were in private school or a suburban, good school. Well, quote good. No one. The reason why I say good is the first day of high school, someone showed up with a gun, and we had the SWAT team come in.
In their school? Or
my school. Your school. Casual.
Yeah. And did they have the arts programs in their school and stuff?
Yeah. They had the gun program. No.
Well, hey,
shooting club.
Street cred.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that just kind of shows you, Yeah. So I started meeting all these people, and I got involved in student government my first year. And I thought, why do I want to leave? Why don't I be a part of something and change the community rather than get up and leave and go somewhere else? I have an opportunity to do that. And so I got so involved with student government at the time and became friends with all these amazing people that were fighters, for change. And I started to see the political shift of what was happening, that a lot of high schools, if you don't meet a certain GPA or quota, they remove the funding. Yeah. But what happened was our high school, we had a charter school, and that's kids who are, troubled, or they usually have an extra amount of counselors on site, but that school shut down, and then they all went to our school, and then they ended up bringing the GPA a little bit down. But it's not their fault. It's because there's lack of resources, counseling and mental health services for these kids.
Of course.
And you don't know what's going on at home, and it ended up affecting everyone. Yeah. And even them, and everyone, because it wasn't fair, but it was done on purpose.
I'm seeing a little bit of tie-in here to your upbringing, to the charity work you do. Yeah. Yeah, see, the puzzle pieces are starting to fit together here, so I'm seeing that too, which we'll get into later too as well. I want to ask you some questions about that. But So then you did. You got into the drama program there. You started driving down to LA. Mm-hmm. You started getting like print work, mm-hmm. which is, and then you started doing commercials. Or
I don't think I auditioned for commercials. I don't think I really booked anything.
Yeah.
Until recently, but commercial was more of a gateway into acting on camera, mm-hmm. and I think they're fine, but they're not. There's not much craft. And so when I got into that in college, I looked up the best acting studios, mm-hmm. and it was a group of friends, and we all decided we're going to live together in LA, but there was this weird gap of time where we couldn't do it for like a month. So I stayed with my family in Torrance.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up driving to LA, auditing all the classes, looking for a job while we were still in between apartments.
Yeah.
I ended up putting all my stuff in storage in Silver Lake. Because we were looking in Silver Lake. Yeah. And it ended up working out. We all lived together. We all moved together. We all got jobs.
When I first moved here, I was looking... So the first time I stayed here was kind of in the Fairfax district. Mm-hmm. And then the next time, my friend lived not far from here in Los Feliz. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I kind of like this area. And so when I moved here, I started looking in that area. And I went to this place in Silver Lake, and basically it was a house, and then there was this long staircase down mm-hmm. the back hill, and there was like a little mm-hmm. bungalow off it. And the guy was like, it's funny because it was a little overpriced for what it was. It was just like, it was really narrow, and there was a kitchen unit, a bathroom, and like just a sofa here, and then a carpeted staircase that went up to a loft that was all carpeted, and the mattress went down into there. And he was like trying to sell me on it by like saying, well, Luke Perry lived here before he hit it big. And I was just like, this is so LA, like so Hollywood for somebody to say this, But I was like, it was just like, it was too overpriced for what it was. I was like, no way, come on.
Yeah.
But that's
it's very LA.
Yeah. Where did you end up settling?
Silver Lake,
yeah.
It worked out.
How long did you live there?
A year. Yeah. And then I just, moved to different parts of LA. But that part was really, really a difficult time because I ended up getting signed to a manager and an agent. Mm-hmm. And I thought I had it all figured out, know? Yeah. And I realized all the auditions that I was going out for were very stereotypical. And, that's when I kind of started realizing, that girl that my dad saw me that I could be was not necessarily how the industry saw people who looked like me.
Right.
I mean, I remember there was an audition where it was like a pilot and it ended up getting made, and even you get these auditions, you think, I don't even want to book this.
Yeah.
The line was, move it, Sanrio, your people built the railroads.
Wow.
Someone was walking in on my character having sex with some other guy, and the guy who's the husband of the lead.
Yeah.
And that was the line, and my character was a maid who her motivation was to get more plastic surgery.
That's very LA.
Yeah. Ooh, realistic.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's doing that, but for me, I don't want to portray consistently. It wasn't even like, okay, that's a one-time thing. It was consistent, and that kind of hurt me a little bit, because I'm wondering, why is everyone seeing me this way when in class I get to explore who I am in such a vast array of different characters. And I have to thank my studio, because if it wasn't for the studio, I wouldn't know what I'm capable of. Because of what if it was just based off the auditions, I wouldn't see what kind of work or the things I love to do would have been. And so I really appreciate that.
That's good, because it sounds like Hollywood would have pigeonholed you, and you might have gotten discouraged and just walked away from it. But the studio allowed you to just see it differently.
Yeah.
And, as a fan of movies, you always hear about that stuff in Hollywood. Like, well, this, Latino guy is playing this stereotypical role, and like people finally break out and get bigger. And, it's been a long struggle. You see it, and it's good to see that development, but it's interesting to hear it straight from you, you experienced it, and that's not cool, obviously. I mean, I mean, there's a point to, like, if you're making a time period piece, like, sure, like, certain people are in certain places or something, or a war movie, you know, like, it's going to be, you know, you're not going to have, like, you know, a bunch of Italian guys playing, like, French soldiers and, you know, I mean, you could if they're good actors, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's, you want to put people in the right place to look like the part and stuff like that, But
yeah, I think if it's coming from a modern, contemporary, you know, day to day, and it's always coming up. Yeah. That to me is a sign of the shift that needs to happen, and it is happening, which I'm grateful for. But now more so than ever, I think the stuff that I'm involved in is a bit more relevant and timely, and there's a need for it. So
that's good.
I started also producing.
Yeah, I have that on here. I saw actor, writer, producer.
Yes, key group. Yeah. Some of the stuff I can't talk about right now, but they're on the way. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff I tend to like period piece, true stories. And for me, it was just the same kind of girl came out again from high school with, am I going to get up and leave and complain, or am I going to stay here and make a change? Yeah. And it's the same kind of feeling that I felt in student government that I feel being a performer in Hollywood is being marginalized, but not letting that story be so committed, because it's more important that I stay and fight and know that we deserve our stories to be heard just as everyone else, rather than just be like, oh, this is what I get, you know? Yeah.
Well, let's segue into that. Your current role that I saw that you're working on, Victoria Manolo Dravis? How do you say it?
Victoria Manolo Dravis, which I can't talk about.
Oh, okay. All right. We won't talk about that then. All right. So I'll edit that part out. Okay.
You don't have to edit it out.
Yeah, I can. Well, that's fine.
I can't really talk about anything.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of your past roles and like.
No.
Don't want to talk about those. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well, then, how about like plays? You told me a while ago you were going to be in a play. Is that something you could talk about? Yeah.
Well, I can actually mention a few of the things and make them general. I'm working on a project, a diving project, and then I'm working on that I'm in the lead, and then I'm working on a TV show about female soldiers from World War II. Wow. They created. It's about the segregated unit of the women's military, and it's an action stylized drama. And then the other one is the true story of. They're all World War II. Yeah. In World War II. German and Polish refugees were in the Philippines. And they were taken in, and it was negotiated over a poker game between the president of the Philippines at the time, General MacArthur, and then a Jewish man who owned a tobacco plantation over there. He sent his whole family over there, and they raised all this money to be able to send all these people from Germany and Poland and around the world to be in the Philippines. And it was all negotiated over a poker game.
That's crazy.
And they made it a humanitarian issue. Yeah. So we're working on that right now, and it's a beautiful story and something that I feel is relevant to today because of what's happening in, the border crisis. Right. Back then we have all these refugees that are being taken in, and it's a humanitarian issue. Versus now it's not being seen that way, which is, I feel, a result of xenophobia. So. Yeah,
politics now is just a mess, especially with who we have in office. It's like every week something different is scandalous.
It's like a reality show.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's crazy how that is. I mean, I never was a fan of him before as a TV person or just, as whatever. But, and then getting elected, I was just like, oh God, really? Like this is the guy from TV and whatever. But, there's a lot of craziness with that, especially with the border stuff and everything else. But so let's talk a little bit about your charity work, because I could see where the background comes with that, and then you do stuff with the border, with the kids at the border, it seems. Yes. And the postcards, I still have to send my postcard. Yeah. I have it screenshot, and I'm like, I'm definitely sending this. And I was going to ask you about that, but we'll get into that too, like outside of this. But yeah, so what are you doing with what kind of charities are there? How did you get involved with that?
I've been volunteering for the Children's Hospital for a while, and I have a company, a wellness company, retail company, that a percentage of our proceeds goes to the Children's Hospital.
Oh, wow.
And I love it. I volunteer, and we do art therapy. Mm-hmm. And then I started volunteering for Border Angels, which is a wonderful organization, and we coordinate collecting donations from our friends, and there's an Amazon wish list that we have that's circulated. Mm-hmm. And basically, those items that get donated get sent to San Diego, and then we all meet there twice a month, and we go to about 12 shelters. We split up in groups, and we drop them off at different shelters. Yeah. And the supplies are basically children's clothes, diapers, women's items, food, but also reading material and toys. And what I've noticed is what was so moving to me is how the kids, instead of running for the food or, basic needs, they run for the arts first. And you realize how important it is to give hope through the arts and their imagination.
I was just going to say the word imagination because I know as a kid, for me, like, we don't have to get into my background really extensively, but I grew up in kind of a erratic home. And so starting really young with like Legos and whatever, and then drawing and, just anything creative, like your imagination, you can go other places and you don't have to be present in like a sense of chaos or whatever it is. And yeah, that's pretty amazing. And
I noticed they kind of reminded me of me and my brother because the kids love the comic books. Yeah. Because the heroes, even though, they're traditionally maybe American or made here, they're universal and global, and they identify with these superheroes who can inspire these kids to overcome anything. Yeah. And I think that's what moves me so much about this work is the fact that there seems to still be a prejudice about those kids or helping some people from over there. Like, why would their parents put them through that or this and that? And I think it's very unfortunate that people have this misconception of what's going on when the reality is that these kids, these families had already started their journey to the border to get their asylum cases approved. And then when Trump approved his bill, he didn't allow anyone else to come in. So where are they going? They're kind of in limbo. Yeah. And they can't go back home because it's quite a journey back. And some women are pregnant. Yeah. Or they left their husbands and already a war zone. And so there's nowhere really for them to go. They're a little displaced. Yeah. And then you have people who, are not with their parents and they're being separated. And it's really heartbreaking. And I started doing it a few months ago for my birthday because I really felt as that was a important thing for me to get involved in and stop waiting until maybe one day when I'm down the line, I can start getting in charity work. We can all do it now. And, though I'm not Latina, I feel like it's important for these kids to see Americans come and see that they are cared for by us. And also the Mexican Americans and Latin Americans also come so they can see that they're being thought of. Yeah. And the human spirit is so strong in these kids. You see how grateful it is, how grateful they are, and how they ask, how do you say thank you, in English. Wow. And then they are still able to say thank you. And to me, it goes, no matter what, we still have to be grateful for what we have. And that these kids find joy and friendship and they seek connection. And they originally had one of the parents of who were volunteering, he coordinated a pen pal program at his daughter's school. And they're about 7 or 8. And they would write letters in Spanish to the kids. And then they would develop a friendship between the kids at the shelter and the kids at his daughter's school.
Oh, that's cool.
And all the kids were running up and we realized we didn't have enough pens.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
And that was the first, they said, I want to tell them about my mom. I want to tell them, all they wanted was to play with the arts or a friend. Yeah. They didn't care about the chocolate. They didn't care about the food on the table. Yeah. And that was so moving about how universal it is. That at the end of the day, it's not about the survival stuff. What you need to survive is hope by telling your story to someone else. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing though? Like how you see how children work and think, and it's very touching, like you said. You know, it's just heartwarming to see that. And you want to get to them before the hope is lost. Yeah. And so I think what you're doing is very important for sure. You know,
there's a lot of people doing a lot more work, and thank you though. But you know, we can all help.
Yeah. Well, and I think also too, it's like. I think part of the problem is because, you know, I grew up here in America. But I know we have it good. Like I know I've been to some places, you know, where you're like, it's not the best place, you know, or even growing up and being all over New York City. New York City, when I hung out there, is nothing like what it's like now. So like. We saw a lot of like, you know, bad neighborhoods and went to bad neighborhoods, whatever we were doing, you know. But it's just, you know, and it's not to say that I grew up with this like amazing like upbringing in terms of like wealth or something, you know, but because I didn't. But it's just like, I think the biggest point I'm trying to make is just like being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And I think so many people have a problem with that. Like they can't comprehend it. And I just it dumbfounds me because I've always been empathetic and to other people in that way. So I've always been able to put myself in someone else's shoes the best I could think, you know, like you could never actually walk in someone else's shoes for sure. But, you know, you can understand it enough to be like, wow, you know, that's tough. And they need help or, you know, they need whatever, you know, support, whatever it may be. And it goes a long way, you know, it's a big deal. You know, I have a friend that she donates every year to the women's shelter downtown, the homeless women's shelter. And it's great because, you know, they just go out and you go to like a CVS or Rite Aid and you load up on like supplies, you know, and then you just come to her house and you drop them off. And it seems like every year I go, there's more bags there, you know, and she's kind of the conduit for all this happening, you know, and it just started.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I just saw it on her Facebook post, and I was like, I'm down with that. I want to help, you know, and you know, I find different causes like that I'll donate to here and there, and it's weird because recently, like, I had 3 GoFundMe's come up, and they're all pretty much, well, one was international, but then the 2 others were people I knew. And it's just tough, you know, like I think that things like that are really good because you don't necessarily know what's going on in people's lives. And then you see something like that pop up and you're like, oh man, I haven't seen that person in a while. This is why, you know, like, let me try and help a little bit, you know, and I just think every little bit counts, you know? So I think what you're doing to those kids, like just anything little, you know, it's going to stick with them for a long time. Because their path is so different than any of ours over here that anything you're instilling in them, that's a part of their path, a part of their journey now.
Thank you.
You know, so I think that's really great.
What I think is really my goal is within my friends to encourage being able to give, you know, and being able to facilitate that, to know that they can be a part of something bigger and know that we can help. And I think that that's really my goal, is to just be accessible,
right,
to facilitate it. And you know, these kids are experiencing a lot of trauma. I mean, we're already, you and I, as people who grew up here, probably already have issues. We all have issues.
Yeah.
But to think that not having a parent, or to be ripped away from your parent in front, you know, that's the really worst devastating
thing. Yeah, that's the worst thing. Like, how do you separate these kids from? Because what are you accomplishing, and what do you know, by separating them from their parents? Like, think how terrifying that must be for those kids. You know, to just get ripped apart from their parents. Like, just house them together. You know, like, and I don't really know the whole story and like why this and that happens, but it just doesn't seem logical. It doesn't seem human.
Doesn't seem American.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, you know, I just go back to World War II when we stood for so much in terms of instilling humanity and fighting. You know, there's like the Allies and the Axis, and this is who we are. We're the good guys, and these are the whatever. And to see this is so disappointing, because this is exactly what we were trying to fight for years ago in the war, and now it's within our own lines. And I understand the trying to keep immigration in check and under control, but there's definitely a better way to do it, and this is just 100%. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you see these rallies now, and there's people with like Nazi signs, and I'm like, and that's not new to me. Like, I grew up in the New York hardcore scene, and just being in the hardcore scene, there was Nazi skinheads,
Yeah.
Not so much, there was some in New York, but it was more like in the outliers. Like when we would go to play a show in Pennsylvania, we played one show in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and there was like 8 or 9 Nazi skinheads there.
Casual.
Yeah, and so I was in a band where I was the white kid. We had a black singer from Trinidad, a Jewish drummer, and a Hispanic bass player. And so, like, I was
interesting.
Like, that's just, in Jersey, that's how you grow up. You grow up around all these different cultures and ethnicities. And then we're playing the show, and these guys come up, and my singer is pretty badass dude. And he just, like, before we started the set, he just, like, middle finger right at all of them. And they were just kind of taken aback. And I'm like, am I going to have to take off my guitar and start swinging, like, knocking people in the head? Like, what the... And we had songs, like, anti-Nazi songs and stuff like that. It was the scene. So, like, now when it's happening with this whole Trump thing, and you see people there, my thought process now, being older and even more educated about everything, is like, dude, we defeated the Nazis in World War II, and you're American. Like, do you not see the stupidity in your thought process? Like, it makes no sense,
Yeah.
And it's like, I know we're supposed to be the land of the free and stuff like that, and, but it's just like, yeah, but we defeated you in World War II, we defeated the Nazis. Or not just us, but, And
they're praising these ideologies that are becoming distorted for patriotism. And, I have even family members who, I'm not really on Facebook, but who will post things like that. And I'm like, I just think of the Dave Chappelle. Do you remember that Dave Chappelle skit where he's blind?
Oh, yeah.
He's in the KKK.
Yeah.
So he's a black.
Dude, what was the name of his character?
It was so funny.
That was hilarious.
They all felt bad because he was blind.
Yeah.
And not tell him.
Yeah.
But what I thought was interesting, because that's what reminded me of even people who are brown who feel the need to be like, yeah, but I'm different. I'm American. I got here the legal way or whatever, And that does happen within my communities. And I have to point that out too. It's not just one way or the other. And then you also have people who may be a person of color but may not support women's rights.
Yeah.
And, and then there's all these things. So I really do believe that there's so much intersectionality needs to happen. But that's why all these things are happening. That's why we have the president we have now and all these things that still need to be worked on, that I feel like this next generation, it's kind of showing you the holes that we've had.
Yeah.
We think that we've had it good for so long, but we forget that there's a lot of work to be done in education that still needs to be made, especially in these pockets that seem so secluded.
Yeah.
I remember I was visiting someone in Charleston, and on the way back, 2 things happened. One, our car broke down, and I was staying in a tire shop because it was air conditioned while he was dealing with the car. And, I was talking to this woman, and she goes, "Oh, you're from LA?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, my daughter wants to go there." And I misheard her, and I thought she said move there. She goes, "Move? Oh my God, we've never been outside of Charleston."
Yeah.
And then this guy's brother was asking me if I was born here. Like as if I was like some illegal person trying to get a green card or something.
Right.
And then on the airplane, this man was looking out the window, and he's freaking out because he was in his 50s, and he's never been outside. Wow. I think he had to go for a family emergency outside, but he's never left his hometown.
Yeah.
And it made me think how these people think that way is because they have been so sheltered and they don't leave.
Oh yeah.
So, I think that we think, we're in such a global world, but it also is a specific demographic. Not everyone is so privileged to travel.
Right.
It's the same kind of pockets that you're talking about in New York or in San Francisco, where people are really barely hanging on, and they cling to these small-minded ways of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm glad that now we have so many opportunities for streaming platforms and all this that can be accessed by teens.
All right, so we've been talking about a lot of serious stuff, but you know what I want to ask you about? Just a couple of things. Jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah, the Shrinamore, yeah.
Yeah, how did you get into that?
I've always wanted to try it. I've done kickboxing, Muay Thai, and boxing,
Right.
and I've been fascinated because I always felt that it's such an important thing to learn what happens if you possibly end up on the ground. And what got to me is that I took a seminar at Women Empowered with Eve Torres in Torrance, which I'm so in love with now. And what kind of got me hooked was the question of how do you get out of this? And it was a woman that was being, pinned down and kind of asking the audience, how do you get out of this? And we couldn't really figure it out.
Yeah. Wow.
And then we were shown the right way to get out of it. And I was just a light bulb hit. How we're not taught these things, we're taught how to do parabolas and all these things. And we're not, the fact that we're not educated in this self-defense is, especially for women, was terrifying to me. So that was kind of the first thing that got me in. But then I ended up realizing how powerful the sport and martial art is, because it can be used against someone 3 times your size.
Right.
And if your technique is good, you can definitely overcome the other person against you, the opponent or the bad guy or whatever. And but honestly, at the end of the day, what made me really stay and is the girls. The community that's there, the teachers, how much they love what they do, and how contagious that is. Yeah. And the friends that I've made, I think that it brings out a certain side of everyone, because martial arts is such a great way to be present.
Right.
And the women that come to the class are inspiring, uplifting women, and
it's a huge bonding experience, it seems.
Yeah. And no matter how different we are, we never wish any harm towards each other. And the fact that these women are helping each other to learn all these techniques to defend themselves, it just goes to set the tone that, we're here to know that you're worth fighting for. Right. And that you should fight for yourself, not just for self-defense or on the mat, but when you leave and you're fighting for what you want and your worth. Yeah. And that to me really stuck to me. So
yeah, that's empowering. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I almost feel like they should have a self-defense class for women in high school.
I think so too. Yeah.
Because it's just, I remember going to visit my sister when she was a freshman in college at FSU, and I was a freshman in high school, and we went to visit her, and right as you walked out of her dorm room, there was a bulletin board, and the first thing was on there, like, rape, self-defense class. And I, I got so protective. Like, it makes me so emotional to just say this, but I was like, if someone ever fucking touched my sister, I would stab them in the face so many times. Like, I just, started thinking, I would kill somebody if they touched my sister, And it's just, but I'm not there, and you're not with someone all the time. And even in LA, I first moved to LA, and my friend came to visit. We were walking down the street over by the Fairfax district where I used to live. 2:00 in the afternoon, these 3 kids on bikes came up, young kids, and I wasn't really listening to them, because my whole thing, going to areas in New York that maybe I shouldn't have been in, I just kind of I'm here, we're doing this, just you're focused because you were going to do graffiti or whatever the case may be. And so I kind of shut it out, and then they approached us, and the kid took a swing on me, so I turned around and took off my glasses, and I took a stance because I was going to start fighting them, but then they just took off, and my friend was like, dude, they were talking about they had a gun, and I'm like, I didn't even hear that, and I'm just I wasn't even listening to them flapping, talking shit, so I was just and I'm not trying to come off as I was tough or something. It's just my point is that you just never know. And we live in LA, and you could be anywhere. And I remember that same neighborhood, there was one night where we heard a girl screaming, And I came out of my door, flying out of my door, and other guys came out. And there was a girl like diagonally across the way on the other corner, and some guy was trying to attack her. And then because of all of us coming out and like yelling, the guy took off. And it's just like, you know, he didn't get to a point where he was hurting her, I guess. But it's just, you forget sometimes with all the glitz and glam in Los Angeles, like you go to a fancy club or party or whatever, a premiere, and then you're like, oh yeah, there's like some bad people here, you know, looking to do bad things. And so I think it's smart, you know.
It's you know what they say is that it's just my reality. Yeah. It's the reality of being a woman, and for me, I like the principles that they had, that this could be used in close proximity, in closed spaces, because with kickboxing you have to, you know, rely on striking and having an effect, and if you don't have that desired effect, then you know, what happens when you go to the floor, and grappling and all that. And also for me, you know, going to film festivals and traveling, and especially with all what's happening with the Me Too, I could see why it happens, because everyone's vulnerable, intoxicated, and in settings where there's hotel rooms. And often these film festivals, people don't realize these hotel rooms are converted as offices for the markets. They're not going into a personal room. And then there's yacht parties, you know, in Cannes, and you can't go anywhere. Or at Sundance, you're snowed in an after party somewhere. And I have been lucky enough to have people around me be protective, but there's been instances where I felt very uncomfortable, you know. But that's kind of what is normalized, is you go to these things and you try to network, and this is business. And I'm sure, unfortunately, this does happen to men too, being harassed and being assaulted. But I think that there's less likeliness of that happening. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely like, oh, okay, cool. Talk about work. And then when women try to be a part of this kind of networking experience and being a businesswoman and trying to collaborate with people, there's always that blurry line that can be perceived, you know?
Yeah. There's still, there's, even with the movement and stuff like that coming out, there's still a lot of ignorant people out there, you know, guys that just, you see it like in sports, there's still sports stars like in domestic violence situations, and you're like, you have all this money, and obviously you have some trauma or something you're carrying with you that would cause you to do this. Go get the best therapy in the world, you know, like I just, you know, but I don't know, egos, you know, you're getting paid millions of dollars to be who you are. I guess people don't think like that, but, you know.
I always believe when it comes to therapy, you have to want to get better.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And a lot of these people, you know, they always say hurt people hurt people. Yes, but I also believe that there's no excuse.
Yeah, like it's not like, I'm not defending it saying like.
No, exactly.
I understand it, so yeah, that's why, you know, like, of course, that's a terrible thing, whether it's children being sexually abused or a woman being hit or anything. It's just the cycle has to be broken at some point, you know, and the hurt people thing.
I agree.
And it's like some people just aren't capable, or like you said, you have to want it. And, you know, obviously if you do something that damaging, there's got to be something that clicks and says like, okay, I'm not well, or, you know, that makes you want it to get better. But I think that's really cool. And that's my godson Kali is killing it in jiu-jitsu. Awesome. Like his dad is into it and stuff like that, but he's just like killing it, like first place every time. Wow. Yeah, he's just like so badass. I'm so proud of him.
I've started, it's been about almost a year and a half, but I'm definitely getting more into it. So I'm still learning, you know, I'm still growing, and I'm excited.
Will you compete at some point?
I hope so. Maybe.
Yeah.
I would like to. I think it would be good. Yeah. But it's definitely going to take time.
They're pretty intense. Like he gets like pretty worked up and stuff like that. And it's just like a whole gym full of people. And it's just like fight after fight after fight after fight, you know, and it's mostly younger kids, but then his dad fought too. And, you know, there's like older groups, and they, you know, it just depends on the scheduling or stuff like that, but it's pretty big scene.
I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's good.
It's cool. Yeah. So that's also like martial arts. It's very meditative too. And we were talking the other day and you said you're into meditation. Like, how did you get into that?
I think it had to do with dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression and being an artist.
Yeah.
It's a very busy mind that I have. And it's helped me sort through a lot of thoughts and have me be present.
Yeah.
And I was raised Catholic, and, you know, praying for me is, I think, important. But I think meditation is a bit more about listening.
Yeah.
And meditation to me is very useful in performing and being present on stage, and being able to be present on a set and not let other thoughts or thinking about what other people perceive of you to be.
Yeah.
And I realized that's so important. So meditation for me was a way for me to just be present.
Yeah. Did you have a teacher, or did you just kind of learn on your own?
I learned on my own. I took classes. I don't take classes, but I
went to some classes.
Went to classes. Yeah. I do yoga.
Yeah. Which is also meditative. Yeah.
Yes, but I started doing a lot more meditation, just meditation, to kind of explore who I am and to unplug. Yeah. Because I think that could be very stimulating, and it causes your mind to keep going even after you're probably on your phone.
Well, there's studies. I've been doing meditation since like 2001. And I do basically a daily meditative practice. And there's studies on stuff like that where the brain is actually different, like when they do scans and the way it's developed and things like that. And it can actually be anti-aging, you know, for all those people in Los Angeles that are obsessed with anti-aging. But yeah, no, there's so much to it, and I think it's so beneficial, you know. Yeah. And it'd be amazing if, like, I love the stories when you see like kids in school that are taught meditation and how it helps them, especially if they're in like, you know, areas where it's troubled and, you know, they don't have the best life as compared to like some other kids in better neighborhoods or something. And I think bringing peace to kids like that is so important, you know, and that's really cool when I see stuff like that. So let's get into some fun stuff here. Uh-oh. Your real name
Tequila shots.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right, line them up. So let's see, going down some stuff here. So like just randomly, like some of your favorite movies, like top 3 movies or something.
We just talked about it while we were eating pizza.
Yeah.
Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain?
It's top 3. Yes, it's top 3.
All right.
Very different.
Yeah.
I like that movie a lot because it had to do with the transition of adding voice to usually a silent movie industry.
Right.
And how you had to be multi-talented. Yeah. And how some people couldn't adjust. Yeah. I just love that movie. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
I have 3.
Yeah,
3.
just a few. Like it could be more than 3, but
The Fifth Element.
Fifth Element. All right.
Loved that movie growing up.
Yeah.
See a little comedy musical here, a little science fiction.
Did you ever dress up as Mila Jovovich's character?
It's a hard one for me to pull off. I'm very tan. And that's quite an outfit.
Yeah, I would say.
If I were to do it, maybe I'll do that for Halloween. I'll do the one in the shorts, not the white.
All right, I have to think back on
when
that.
she's wearing the shorts and and then the jumper, not the white.
Okay, is it like a blue top or something like that?
It's a white top.
White top? All right. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. But yeah,
I loved that movie. And you know what I really liked about that was to see a strong woman fight. And that's something that I've always kind of kept an eye out for.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a movie, but Alias was my favorite show growing up. Let's see what else. Gotta have another one, but Run Lola Run, German movie.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Very cool, very artsy.
Yeah, it was cool because it was different. You know, like it's. See,
and the music, I still run to that music.
Yeah,
it's so fun,
yeah. Good soundtrack, but just this is like a different concept, and like movies like that, they come out, and then you don't forget them because they're just so different, and they make an impact.
Just the way they edited it and shot it was piece of art, you know.
Yeah.
And the concept was so unique and is so fast paced.
Yeah.
I loved it and meaningful. That's one of my favorites too. I love, what else? Inception. We're talking about Inception.
Yeah,
I love anything with like the John Bolyar theory of the dreams and the layering.
Yeah. Do you dream a lot?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I'm always fascinated by them. And I used to be is it a lucid dream? What is it called? Where you can control?
Yeah, there's lucid dreaming, and then there's vivid dreaming too. And I started after seeing Inception. Inception used to have an app, and you could put on headphones, your headphones, and then it basically was like a delay type thing, but there was different. It was weird because it had a map and like of your area, and then they recalled different things, and then so each different one had kind of a different effect. But you could like put it on, and then go walk around in society, and it had like this delay. So like you'd hear the sound like pile up and stuff like that, and then fade, and then some of it would have some of the Inception soundtrack music.
Cool.
And it's gone now, and I'm like, damn it, like, you know, because it was always on my phone. I always made sure whenever I got a new phone I put it on there, and then I at one point when I switched to some, like, it was just gone, like they got rid of it, I guess.
Sucks.
And I was all mad.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, because it was kind of like a game. Like the more you do it, the more it unlocks different stages for you and stuff. But you could fall asleep to it. It had a meditative sleep quality to it. Yeah, and you like we were talking about this before. Where like you're so sensitive to like hearing sounds and like what's that? Like that's how it was too, because you'd hear a sound and that would start echoing in there, and then it was awesome. I loved it, and I love that movie. So you know, but I have dreams like all the time too, and it's weird because I wake up a lot during the night, but I feel like I think I figured out that when I fall asleep, I must fall asleep pretty hard, like pretty deep, because I'm dreaming, but then I'll wake up out of the dream. Wow. And I'm like, it's kind of like when you wake up, you're so disorientated sometimes because you're coming out of a dream. But yeah, I got to get, one of the processes they say is when you wake up, you just write down your dreams right away to develop the lucid dreaming stuff. And, you know, I was reading about it. There's different stages that you do, but yeah, it's pretty fascinating, you know, pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Yeah.
With my silver metallic gel pens, I would journal. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, so those are a good bunch of movies.
Oh, one more.
Yes. Okay.
Another Earth.
Another Earth? I don't think I've seen that.
Wow.
Who's in that?
Britt Marling, who I adore, and that was one of her first films that she did, and it was ultra low budget. Yeah. But it's about another planet forming in the sky. That's actually a parallel of us.
Oh wow,
it's
that's
wonderful.
Cool. That sounds interesting.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. What year was that?
I don't know, but look it up.
All right.
Anyways, yeah.
All right, that's cool. All right, now how about favorite actors? A few of your favorite actors.
Britt Marling.
Yeah.
Quick
segue, easy segue.
There you go. I like that she is kind of doing something similar, and I heard about her when I was kind of started producing and creating my own content. I like that she's very involved and very fulfilled by being a part of the stories that she's a part of as an actor. Jessica Chastain. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow.
What's your favorite Jessica Chastain movie?
Probably Interstellar.
Yeah.
I loved her in The Help as well.
Yeah.
I just saw it. Amazing. She was great. Yeah. She's always good. She's always good. So I really like to watch her. Who else? Did you see actors, this whole thing?
Well, yeah. Okay, so we'll get into that because I have something funny to that.
Yeah.
So like I thought about this because, you know, I asked you early on, like, is it actor or actress, you know? And so like when they do the Oscars, there's always best actor, best actress, best supporting actress, best supporting actor. And I thought, that's weird. I wonder, what if they just made best actor? And you had to, you know, I think they could keep that, but then have one down the middle. Like where it's just, you know what I mean? Like, so best supporting actor, and it's male or female. And then same with the main, you know, best actor, it's male or female. So I'm going to give you a little quiz.
Okay.
Do you watch the Oscars every year, I'm assuming? Okay. And you see a lot of the Oscar movies?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so last year, Rami Malek won it for Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
What a movie.
Olivia Colman won it for Anne in The Favorite. Okay. Who would you pick out of those two to win?
Oh, that's a tough one.
See?
They're so good.
Yeah.
But so were the women and so were the men in their own categories.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If you could only pick one, who would you have given the Oscar to? I got a few of these.
I don't know.
Really?
They're both. I mean, those are probably my two favorite movies of that year.
All right.
Because they were so transformative for each character.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a. That's a hard one.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Rami Malek in the new Bond film. He's playing one of the villains. Mm-hmm. I love the Bond films. So, okay, so let's go back another year. 2017, it was Gary Oldman for Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour. Mm-hmm. And Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing. Mm. I haven't seen either, so I can't even really say, but...
I love Frances McDormand, and I love
both of them, yeah.
So, probably her.
Yeah? All right. 2016, this might be easy, because the guy's kind of, got a bad rep.
Oh, no.
Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea, or Emma Stone in La La Land.
Oh.
It's really different movies. That's one of the things.
Well, yeah. I didn't see that movie on purpose because of what he had been accused of. And
exactly.
Emma Stone I like. I don't know if I necessarily like that movie.
Yeah.
So Emma Stone. But I like her as an actress. I think and she was fantastic in The Favorite.
What about her in Birdman?
Amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that
I think La La Land was a little too...
Yeah, I was kind of surprised.
Too light for me, Yeah,
I was kind of surprised it got so much praise. I mean, I didn't see it, but I just, Yeah. I think maybe it goes back to, your thing about, the musicals, there just hasn't been something like that in so long.
Exactly.
Maybe it got that much attention.
Maybe.
But, okay, we'll do one more. Mm-hmm. 2015, DiCaprio in The Revenant. Or Brie Larson in Room.
Oh, wow.
See, I never saw either of those.
Those are two amazing movies.
Yeah.
I love Leonardo DiCaprio, and I would say Brie Larson, though.
Wow, okay.
I'm a fan of hers. I loved her in Short Term 12. I thought that was amazing. And The Room, I think, I don't know. So again, they're so different, but that Room movie really freaked me out. It was a whole other level. No, The Room.
The Room.
Or sorry, Room.
Room. Yeah, because there's that other movie, The Room.
The one with that. Yeah, he should have won.
You know that guy used to come in my old job.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And he was
Tommy
nice.
Wiseau, that Disaster Artist, I loved.
Yeah. He was. I mean, he was always nice, but then we started realizing hey, that's that guy on the billboards. You know
what? Also, another movie that I loved, I, Tonya.
Oh, I never saw it.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. I love movies about misunderstood people, and Margot Robbie was amazing in it, and for her to also produce it, to do something that was completely outside of what she normally would be casted, really goes to show her commitment as a performer,
right,
and her creating her own opportunity. And I love that story. Yeah. So interesting. So I love so many movies.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have tons more. Is there any one movie that you saw when you were a kid and it just struck you, like a performance or just a movie overall, where you're like, that's what I want to do? Did that happen?
As a kid.
Yeah. I can remember the photo that made me feel that way with music, because I loved music so much. And on the Diver Down, Van Halen Diver Down cassette, they had this photo of them as if you were back behind the drums and the band was at the front of the stage, with their arms up, saying thank you. But it was in a stadium. And so there was tons of people, and I was just like, I love music. I love playing guitar. I want to do that, look at that. That's amazing to be praised for something you love,
I think I can't really think of anything as a kid that really stuck out, but I think later in life, as a teenager, I think Run Lola Run when I saw that, or Amores Perros.
Oh yeah, that was a great movie.
Great movie. Yeah. That's, as a teenager, I think it hit me more so then. And now that I'm realizing, there's also The Color Purple, which I really, really enjoyed. So many different movies, but what I feel like, even with the movies that are my favorite actors and I wish there was more diversity. I can't seem to name too many that have been nominated or won an Oscar. That have been that diverse yet.
Yeah. What about Black Panther? Did you see that?
Black Panther's amazing. Yeah. But it wasn't. I think it was kind of nominated for an Oscar, wasn't it?
I think it won a bunch, didn't it?
Yeah, but you know, I think it's wonderful, and I love that movie. But you know, it is in the comic book realm.
Yeah.
But totally. Freaking amazing. You know, I love that movie. Yeah.
There's a lot of great movies out there. Like some of my favorite are ones that are based on a true story, because then it's just it has such, like, I love other movies too, but ones that are based on a true story always really interest me too, because you're like, okay, this really happened, you know, like, and it's not always exact, you know, or something like that, but I find that super interesting, you know. Like
Roma was really great, and then Frida I actually really liked, the one about with the Salma Hayek played Frida Kahlo.
Oh yeah, that movie was amazing. She was great in that. Yeah.
So you know they're out there, and I remember I actually loved Get Out.
No, I never saw it. Yeah. I'm so choosy with my movies.
Oh, you're right. You like horror.
Yeah.
You got to watch Get Out.
Yeah. I've heard it's a lot bigger than just that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into some fun.
All right.
Some or funner.
Funny.
I don't know. I saw this the other night on a YouTube video I was watching. So, all right, I'm gonna ask you some questions. Mm-hmm. So, what's your favorite animal?
Dragon.
Okay.
Whatever.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I'm Year of the Dragon, by the way.
Oh, okay. There you go. Mm-hmm. What's your sign?
Gemini, Cancer.
Yeah, see, I knew you were Gemini.
A weird border.
Yeah. Well, at least you're on the border, so you're not full Gemini.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the dragon, give me some adjectives for the dragon. Like, how would you describe a dragon?
Strong.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Magical.
Yeah. Whoa, these are big.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know this game?
Are we playing MASH?
No.
Am I gonna marry?
You're gonna marry? We're gonna live in a house, 7 kids.
7 dragons.
Yeah. Your favorite item of clothing? Like, it could be anything. It could be like a jacket, a shirt.
My leather jacket.
Leather jacket?
Yeah.
All right, let me write that down. And then, give me some adjectives. How would you describe that jacket?
Trendy. Cool.
All right, one more.
Comfortable.
All right. All right, and then the last one. What's your favorite body of water? Like, you know, it could be like an ocean, a lake, a river, a stream, you know, like whatever.
What's the ocean where Greece is?
The what?
Mediterranean Ocean?
Mediterranean? Yeah. So we'll say...
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
The best water.
Okay, and how would you describe that water there?
Blue.
Uh-huh.
Clean.
Mm-hmm.
Comforting.
Oh my god, I think I forgot something here. Oh no, I didn't. I know it. I don't think blue really works. Give me another adjective to describe
this is a color. Cool.
Cool? Okay.
Oh, no.
So I saw Whitney Cummings do this to Jimmy Kimmel the other night.
Oh, okay.
And I actually remember this because I did something similar to this when I was younger with my sister, and she was like, what? You know?
Okay.
So, your favorite animal, that is how you perceive yourself.
Okay, so, that's kind of true.
Well, that's what I was saying. These are pretty good words for this. So, you perceive yourself as strong, beautiful, and magical. That's really positive. Yeah. And then the leather jacket, your favorite article of clothing, that's the way others see you. So they see you as trendy, cool, and comfortable.
They also say badass.
Right, yeah, you with your car out there, your hot rod,
yeah,
and the leather jacket. And then the last one, your favorite body of water. That's how you view sex.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
What was it?
So it's clean, comforting, and cool. So obviously you're not into dirty sex. But, yeah.
It's true. Right.
That's like when you said blue. I was like, wait a minute, I don't think that works. Now I was like, blue balls. You give guys blue balls all the time? What's
probably?
Yeah. So yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, I thought that would be pretty good. Mine when I did mine.
What was it?
My favorite animal is a tiger.
Okay.
And I said strong, agile, cool looking. So that's how I perceive myself. And then my favorite article of clothing was gray t-shirt. Like I've always had like a gray t-shirt, like a nice and it's like lean, soft, and comfortable. And that's the way other people see me. I was like, soft.
I can see that.
Yeah, but
kind.
Yeah. Favorite body of water, Amalfi Coast. And
slut.
I was, and I put cold, clear, and relaxing.
There you go.
And I'm like, wow, cold.
You're waving each other from there, like, hey.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's a fun one. I like that one.
Right. Yeah. I hope other people that I'm gonna bring on don't listen so that I could surprise them with this too. You know.
Cover your ears.
Yeah, I'll
stop
be like,
right now.
Yeah, I'll be like, listen to minute 144 and then cut off. Like you can't listen beyond that.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. And is there places that you want to like websites and things like that you want to promote yourself?
Sure. Yeah. My Instagram is Georgina Tolentino, and then if you want to check out my candle line, it's La Divina, so it's Live La Divina. Yeah. LIVLEDIVINA, and La Divina is my mom's name. It means the divine.
Nice.
Check out some cool wellness stuff on there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, again, this is the What's This About podcast.
Exactly.
With Andy White and our guest Georgina Tolentino. And thank you for coming on and being the first guest. This has been awesome.
You're welcome.
All right.
We did it.
Yes. All right.
Number one. Number one dragon.
That's right.